Captain America Civil War. Homemade shield. It's not vibranium. So here's my first YouTube video review, and I'm gonna start out by saying, let me see, I wrote it down, that of course I understand every family has different morals and views on movies. So please research the content and see if it fits your liking, and don't blame me for recommending it. If it offends you or it has objectionable content, well, that was the movie's fault, not mine. If you watch it, it's your decision, not mine. So that being said, let's move on to the review. I've been looking forward to this movie for quite a while. Since I saw the first trailer, I was pretty excited. Captain America Civil War picks up where The Winter Soldier left off, so it is kind of like a direct sequel to The Winter Soldier. And it's also kind of a direct sequel to Avengers Age of Ultron, and it kind of picks up where Age of Ultron left off. So I saw it opening night, Thursday, and it's 2.5 hours long, and I'm running a blank. Why do people on YouTube make this look so easy? Basically, the storyline of Civil War, at least for the movie, the government sees the events from Avengers, Captain America the Winter Soldier, Avengers Age of Ultron, and they see the cataclysmic events that have unfolded while the Avengers are trying to rescue people. They're also destroying cities and buildings, and they're having Navy ships falling out of the sky, and it's just a mess. So the government decides that the Avengers and other superheroes need to be held in check. So they come up with this paperwork, basically, called the Sokovia Accords, and basically what it does is it just makes the superheroes responsible for their actions and makes the government responsible for controlling how the superheroes and the Avengers do their work. So they want to control the Avengers and other superheroes and keep them responsible. Iron Man thinks it's a good idea. Captain America thinks it's a bad idea. Now, what I liked about this movie was that it shows both sides, and I'm a huge Captain America fan, so I went into the movie going, I'm on Team Captain America the whole way. And in the beginning, when they start showing everything that has happened, and Tony Stark's like, we need to be kept in check, we need to be responsible for our actions, I'm like, yeah, I totally see that. I think I'm kind of swaying more to Iron Man's side. And Captain is like totally against it, and he's like, governments are run with people with agendas, and if we sign this and they control us, agendas change. So maybe they're going to be using us for something we don't want to be used for. And I'm like, that's right, Captain. I didn't think about that. That is a good point. Now I'm swaying back more to Captain's side. So it goes back and forth. I will say, personally for me, I stayed with Captain from that point on through the rest of the movie. The film itself really portrayed both Iron Man's side and Captain America's side as both being right and both being wrong. Let's talk about the Winter Soldier, Bucky, James Buchanan Barnes, which is Captain America's best friend from the 1940s. In Civil War, people are so worried about Bucky, they think he's crazy, they're trying to find him. No one trusts him anymore other than Captain America and his really sweet friend, the Falcon. Yeah, I don't know why I went off on that, but anyway. Winter Soldier was sweet in this movie. His story arc was completely bigger. It was just, you learn a lot more about him, and it was really entertaining and intriguing to watch. And Sebastian Stan, the actor who plays the Winter Soldier, is phenomenal, and he stands out in this movie more than any other movie. So just for that reason, I would say watch this movie because his acting is top-notch. Chris Evans reprises his role as Captain America, and he kills it as Captain America. He's just fantastic actor, just really, really good. Tony Stark is in this, and obviously he's Iron Man, played by Robert Downey Jr., and you see a different side of him than the first Iron Man movie, or even Iron Man 2, or Iron Man 3, or even the Avengers movies. You see that there is more of an emotional side to Tony Stark, and that he has a lot of regret for some things that he's done in his past life, and things that he didn't do. His character, Tony Stark's character, is really broadened in this movie too, and you really see where he's coming from, which is which is nice. Let's talk about the scale of the movie. The scale of this movie is huge. I mean, there is so much going on. I think there's 12 main characters, and for a 2.5-hour movie, it could have been longer. And if it would have been longer, we would have been able to see more of the characters develop in their own personal ways. In this movie, it was really broadened, and there was a lot of characters going on, a lot of different stuff. At some points, it got maybe slightly confusing. Maybe it was because it was sort of late and I was tired, but it never got to the point where it seemed overcrowded, but it was a crowded movie. Let's talk about the action. The action in this movie is on par with The Winter Soldier. It's filmed with a handheld style, most of it, not all of it. And the handheld style is not that crazy, like jump cut, shaky, like stuff. Just messed up my hair. It's not filmed that way completely. I mean, there's a few scenes where it's a little like that, but mostly you can tell what's going on, but you feel like you're in the fight. That being said, the action scenes, there was, I would say, 3 main big ones. There's one in the beginning, there's one about halfway through, and then there's the end one where Captain America and Iron Man finally clash together and they go head-to-head, fist-to-fist fighting. The first fight is very reminiscent of Winter Soldier style, which I liked. Second fight, and if you've seen the movie, you know what it is. If you haven't seen the movie, I'm not going to spoil anything, but I will say it's more of like an Avengers style, bright. It's not like gritty. It's more like fun, and they're wisecracking and joking, which was funny, but I would have preferred they kept it a little bit more serious. But they never went to the point where they went over the top with their wisecracking and jokes. So they kept it just the right amount, so it wasn't like, okay, really, you're getting your face bashed in and you're, wisecracking about something. And then the final fight is very dark, very emotional, very gritty. It wasn't completely done in a handheld style, which was nice. It was done very well and excellent. I would have preferred it was longer, and for me, I wish there would have been a little bit more emotion from both characters at that point. I mean, there was a lot of emotion going on, but it didn't feel like it led up to the point where they needed to be fighting that intensely. I wish there would have been a little bit more going on, but that's just me. Let's talk about editing. Editing was superb. You never felt completely confused. I've seen some movies where you're just like, okay, well, what's going on? And then at the end you're like, I think I know what was going on, but I'm not sure. In this movie, by the time you're done, even halfway through, it's clear, it's represented clearly, you know what's going on. It wasn't super quick cuts. It wasn't boring. It was done really well. It was seamless, so it wasn't like you notice when it cuts to a different angle or whatever. So that was, again, perfect. Let's talk about the soundtrack. The soundtrack in this film is awesome. It's composed by Henry Jackman, I believe, and he did the music, I'm pretty sure, also for Captain America: The Winter Soldier. It's so good. It never gets to the point in the movie where you're like, oh, hey, that's a good piece of music that goes with this. Which is good because you don't realize it, and it's part of the movie-going experience where you don't realize it until you're done watching it, and then you go, you know what, the soundtrack was really good. Instead of in the scene when you're going, oh, wow, that's cool. Oh, wow, the music was really good there. I don't know. That's just me because I notice a lot, but the use of soundtrack and everything in this movie was superb, and I've been listening to the soundtrack for, well, let's see, today's Saturday, so for 2 days now, off of YouTube, and it's awesome. Okay, let me talk about some of my problems with the movie. When I went out to see it, I was originally thinking about maybe taking my brothers with me, and they're 13 and 10, I believe. Sorry if I'm wrong, boys. I've seen most of the other Marvel movies. We skip a couple parts that are a little intense or too violent, or, whatever, if there's negative content. I was kind of debating whether or not to take them with me, and let me say I'm glad I did not, because it is violent. This movie is very violent. In action movies, you need violence. I mean, every action scene can't be a car chase or running away. You know, there's got to be fighting. And this movie is called Civil War, and from the trailers you can see they fight. But there are a couple scenes where, like, Bucky is under mind control when he's the Winter Soldier, where the violence level, like, was maybe close to an R rating. I'm glad it stayed PG-13, because if it's R, then it kind of, every other film forward now needs to be, you know, oh, maybe it should be an R rating. And then you just end up putting more negative content in, and it gets annoying to watch or impossible to watch. But for adults like me, well, I'm not an adult, I'm 19, but for people like me who know what violence is and everything, I can handle it. There's going to be some people that are going to watch this movie and be like, wow, this is super violent. There's going to be other people who watch a lot of violent things and play a lot of violent games, and they're going to watch and be like, okay, this is cool, you know, and they're not even going to think twice about it. When I buy the Blu-ray, I'll definitely show them a good portion of the movie, but I will definitely be skipping through certain scenes that went a little over the top. Of course, you know, that's just my thoughts on the violence aspect of the movie. Everyone has different views and opinions and morals and whatever, so that's completely up to you. So another problem was the language for me. It wasn't like an R-rated war film where they're F-bombing every other word or something, but it just kind of bothered me because people go to the movies and they take their family to the movies to have fun and entertainment and enjoy. And unless it's a true story where the stuff really went on, I don't really see the need to put it in there, especially so loudly. I mean, if someone mumbles something under their breath, I kind of let it slide, but when it's really loud, even if it's meant to be funny, it just kind of annoys me. People take their families to see these movies, and they take kids to look up at their superheroes and be like, let's aspire to something greater. The DC movies kind of take a darker tone, especially in these newer ones, the Dark Knight trilogy, Man of Steel. I haven't seen Batman vs. Superman yet, but I heard that's kind of darker. The new Suicide Squad trailer looks pretty dark. And those aren't the kind of movies that people want to take their 10-year-old kids to. They want to take them to something that's more fun and enjoyable and that has action and has, you know, whatever in it, but it's a superhero movie that is fun and enjoyable to watch. And you don't have to be, oh man, I know they're going to say something they shouldn't, or there's going to be an inappropriate scene or whatever. And you can usually do that with most of the Marvel movies, but in this one, the language was just, it almost seemed like, okay, let's add more in because we can. So that's just annoying to me because I want to show it to my brothers and they don't really need to be exposed to that. And you can hate me for that as much as you want. I mean, look, I know what goes on in the real world, but for entertainment's sake, is it necessary? No. Let's talk real quick about my problems with the movie itself, the film making. They did this thing where whenever there was a location broad across the screen, it would say the name. So it would be like I live in New York, and let's say the scene cuts from Texas and it cuts to New York, and then it goes like this. And then it cuts back and it's like, it was huge on the screen. I like when it shows up in the corner, like across there, and it says New York, instead of like, it kind of bothered me and it seemed out of place. It actually like took me out of the movie for a second and I was thinking, okay, why did they do that? Another problem I had was I read the Civil War comic book. Here, let me grab it. I'm back. Here it is. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of different characters and things that aren't just the Avengers. And I know they haven't really set up a ton of superheroes yet. I mean, in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I guess they have. I don't really watch the show, so I wouldn't know. In Civil War, there's a lot going on, and there's a lot of superheroes who are trying to pick sides and confused, and there's the ones who pick Iron Man's team, and there's the ones who pick Captain America's team, and then there's the ones in between, and then there's the ones who, I don't know what they do. There's more at stake. In this film, it kind of focused more on the Avengers, and they do mention that it's going to affect other superheroes, but it's kind of like in passing, like, oh yeah, you know, this might affect more than just us, or whatever. I don't remember how they said it exactly, but it was in passing. So you're like, oh man, it's just going to destroy the Avengers team, big deal. So there wasn't like a ton at stake in the comic, there's a lot going on. And there's a lot of intrigue, and there's a lot of characters who, like, if you haven't read it, kind of, this is a little bit of a spoiler, there's some characters who are on one side, and then halfway through they switch to the other side, or there's a character or two who's on one side through the whole thing, and at the end they were a double agent. There was none of that really in this movie. I mean, not that was like, oh, whoa, that was a big twist. That was kind of annoying to me. My other problem with the film as a whole was, like I said earlier, I don't know if I actually put this in yet or not, because I'm going to edit it when I'm done. It's called Captain America Civil War, and it's kind of more like Avengers Civil War. Captain America's a big part of it, but it's not Captain America Civil War. It's like Avengers... what do we want to... Avengers 3 Civil War. So, a little annoying. All of what I just said, this movie was fantastic. I loved it. I'm gonna get it on Blu-ray for sure. I would give it 8 out of 10 stars. Which for me, that's big. The Winter Soldier, in my view, I just absolutely love that movie. And when I watched it, I felt like I was watching something unique and special. With this one, it kind of felt familiar, which was nice, but it didn't have that feeling of, wow, this is completely different. This was kind of like Avengers and Winter Soldier kind of were together. I wouldn't say it's as good as Winter Soldier. I wouldn't say it's, like, in my view, it's slightly lower because I put the Winter Soldier that high, but if the Winter Soldier is here, Civil War is going to be like here, or here. I mean, it was really awesome. Like I said, 8 out of 10 stars. Anyway, if you haven't seen it yet, go out and watch it because it's awesome. Even if you're not a fan of Marvel movies or superhero movies, it's, as a movie itself, it's pretty good. But if you are a fan of superheroes and Marvel's movies, definitely go see it. What else? Thanks for watching my review. This is my first one. I'm gonna try and make them shorter. I mean, this is my first time. I'm kind of rambling. I got a lot going through my head. So, thanks for watching. Stay tuned, because I do plan on doing more movie reviews in the future. Maybe not new releases, because a lot of the new stuff I don't watch, but maybe some of my personal favorite movies. And maybe I'll bring a guest star along. You don't know. And just a friendly reminder that, of course, I understand every family has different morals and views, so please research the content to see if it fits your liking, and don't blame me for recommending it if you have a problem with it, or it's objectionable, or it offends you, or whatever. If you watch it, it's your decision, not mine, and if you watch it and there's problems with it, I didn't make the film. I'm just reviewing it and saying I liked it or didn't like it, although most of the movies I'm going to put up are going to be the ones I like. So, there we go. That's it. Oh, and if you notice, I'm wearing an Iron Man shirt. That's just because my Captain America shirt is in the wash right now because I wore it to the theater the other night. So, I'm wearing this because it's Marvel themed, and I'm not totally opposed to Iron Man, but as you can tell, I'm a huge Captain America fan. Stay busy. Check out my channel once in a while. Have fun.